Wembley, Wembley. We're the famous Aldershots and we're going to Wembley. Not strictly an Aldershot accent, that wasn't at the end there. I went a bit farmer. Sorry. Uh, Usual intro out the window. Aldershot are going to Wembley. What a week. What a high. What a feeling this is. I can't believe we've only got 31 days or so of of gloating about it. Obviously, we'll gloat plenty on the 21st of April at the Kingfield Stadium. Um, So yeah, in that vein, but today we've got a normal episode finally after a few weeks of Saturday, Tuesday, and voice note episodes. This one we've got Ian and Ash on the line discussing their thoughts on last Saturday's mental day, and also Tuesday night's game against Boston, and also looking ahead to the tour of duty on Saturday away at York. I've got a call for you all, a call for content, you might call it. Um, and it's about Wembley. We'd like to put together like a Wembley special closer to the day. So I want to hear from you guys. Um, your voice notes, your emails, send them all in. Send voice notes to atfcpodcast at gmail.com. Send your emails to the same place. Let me know how long you've been waiting, how long you've been, waiting for this moment. Uh, Are you moving any dates around for the Sunday final? What are your travel plans? Who's coming with you? Because I mean, I've had messages from people all over the place asking me how I can get tickets and how many I can get. Uh, and what else we got? Yeah, obviously how long it's been. Are you taking a day off on the Monday? Hmm, interesting. Are you taking a day off on the Friday? You're just really, really excited to get to Wembley. So yeah, please send them in. Or just yeah, email or respond to the I'll put a post on Shots Web as well, so respond to that as well. Um, yeah, my little mini story is that I've never been to Wembley before. Made a stupid promise when I was 12 or 13. We'll have to figure out exactly when it was. I've got a feeling me and Dan made the plea after Ebbsfleet, the home game, when we lost in a semi-final, second leg. Or I think we drew actually, but lost the tie. And we said we're not going to Wembley until Aldershot get to Wembley, which was year by year becoming one of the worst decisions of all time, not being able to get any England supporters points. But finally, we can go to Wembley, and then we can maybe go and watch England away in a few years. So that's my mini little contribution to the Wembley sphere. Anyway, email them in atfcpodcast at gmail.com. Sorry, this one's quite a long intro. It's also a long episode. So, get started now. Up the shots. So the shots, importantly right now, are 14th. That's the important thing. I'll start with the important things this Wednesday evening as we record. Boston, everyone was piling into the Rec for that one last night. 1700 at the Rec. But no, serious news. We will go to the Saturday game, 12:30. It seems an absolute age away. An absolute age away from getting into the spoons at just past 10 and seeing an absolutely rammed Queen's Hotel, Wetherspoons, and then the day, the sun out, the police presence, the 7,000 packing into the Rec, and basically a picture perfect derby game. A red card, two penalties, and a last minute winner from Jack Barham. Uh, and an ex-player scoring, because every Woking game has to have an ex-player scoring. And it was Lewis Walker who opened the scoring in the 55th minute. I've only just realised that. There's always one. Um, where do we begin? Ian, I'm just gonna the only question I've got down here is what does it mean to you to see the shots at Wembley?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those where I'm actually going to have better memories of the semi, and getting to Wembley to some extent means more than when we're at Wembley. You know, the match had everything. Aldershot Woking games over the past 25 years have had so much drama, so many different chapters. And here's just another chapter. Like, how will that ever be peaked in a derby game? But yeah, that semi, that's in the top five Aldershot Town moments for me. So you've obviously got Torquay, Exeter, Swindon, and this one as well. Can't can't rank them, but yeah, this will live long in the memory. What a day! What a game! What a result!
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was the post-match discussion. What is the best match? Is that the best match? You don't want to go too early and just say that, oh, it's got to be the best match. I mean, it's close. It's close for me. I will give it another week before I, calm down and make it my best match ever on Footballogy or something. Ash, what does it mean to you for the shots to play at
Oh,
Wembley?
it means everything. Following the club up and down the country, highs and lows that we've all talked about on here and prior to that. The build up to the game, as I say, it was just a great game and a great day. I was one of the ones who were venturing into that Weatherspoons at 8 o'clock in the morning before the game started. But yeah, I thought the game itself just had absolutely everything, as we've discussed. Former shots player scoring for Woking, the 10 men, and like we jokefully said, it would be a game if Woking went 1-0 up with 10 men because it looks like it's going to be cagey, and then they scored, didn't they? So, and we thought in the East Bank they were just going to put every player behind the ball and try and defend it out. Um, it's yeah, I saw back the red card against Theo. You got to praise him for doing it. Really, it's one of these. It's dark arts, but it's the referee's decision at the end of the day. He's given it, and I think Dewhurst had his part to play with making it look like it was worse than what it was. The winning moment, I remember being in the East Bank, and it was just unbelievable. If you source around YouTube, there's about 3 or 4 videos where I'm in it during the second goal, and you can see me jumping around the place. It's great. And yeah, at the end of the game, everyone getting onto the pitch, all the singing, all the camaraderie afterwards. Went to the local pubs later on in the day, and it was just the singing that was going, and it was just absolute carnival atmosphere. And I think I'm in the camp with Ian. I don't think the final can top that feeling because the fact it's Woking, it's the finally we've done it, we've got there. So it'll be interesting though. I know we're going to be bringing the numbers because I think at the moment we're on 9 coaches already full, which is really good. But yeah, absolutely. As I said to you earlier, I've only just got over it really.
Yeah, no, I mean every time I refresh a feed on social media, I see a new clip I haven't seen, and I'm happy to do that. I don't want to go through all of them now, and use them all up. But my God, I need to save them somewhere. Like download the actual file. I need to get them on DVD or something. It's not that I want to get a DVD for a semi-final win, of course. Um, what was the one? What was that? Was it Everton that got a DVD for beating Sunderland 7-1? I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But one of the clips was obviously from being at the game and then hearing Steve Gibbs's final summary at the very end after was it 115 minutes of play and him saying they never do it the easy way. I mean, I I can't go anymore because I'll also tear up just remembering him saying it. And that was on a replay. That was a replay. I knew what was going to happen. I knew the story. It's like the greatest kind of movie where you know the bits where you're gonna tear up, you know the bits where you're gonna um, be delirious with happiness. Um, what a yeah, what a day. What a day. That's the first time I've ever took my top off as well. When it's that warm and you score a 93rd minute winner, I think tops have got to come off. And obviously there's the view at the front of the East Bank. They got you're going to get all the plaudits down there. But I was doing it up the back, so nobody saw me. Kept my modesty, but yeah, and I probably did smell from park run, so I'm sorry for anyone around me that that caught a whiff. Um, yeah, I suppose let's talk about that. You mentioned the moment, the red card. I suppose that's where a lot of the discussion has been. I've had a little look on cards board as well. Can't help myself. Ian, what was your thoughts on the red card?
Yeah, so I stood on the slab for the game, so I was quite close to it. But the particular incident, I was kind of just looking at the corner taker, looking at various things. So I didn't get a particularly good view of what happened, but saw Theo on the floor, and then saw the card and people around me that had been looking at that going, oh, he could be going here. He could be going. And then, yeah, the ref, I don't know if he had like the assistant ref in his ear or sort of confirm what he saw, and off Buteman went. So, yeah, obviously that footage from behind the goal that's was out there quite quickly on Saturday afternoon, Sunday. I don't know if they've overturned it on that basis or they've used another particular angle to do that. Was quite amusing Wokin's statement about, as expected, it was overturned. I think that's a bit unprofessional to be putting that in a thing. Obviously, I've got some Woking fans at work, so a couple of them have been avoiding me this week for some reason, but the one that was gracious enough to turn up in the office and speak to me did sort of acknowledge that, yeah, fair play, it was not a red, but he did think that we probably did have the better of the game. The other thing is, I kind of, when I was at the game last night, just sort of talking through the moments with my mates on the slab, was that would Woking have necessarily scored if there'd not been that red card? Because it felt like we immediately lost our shape and we couldn't believe our luck, and that we just weren't organised for that Walker goal and that chance. So does it impact the game as much as people think, or it impacts it in perhaps not the ways that people are suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, it did definitely inject a bit of emotion into the game as well. I think there was a it was quite an ordinary game in the first half. Effiong was getting um half chances, showing his quality. And to be honest, that overall I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch. I mean, that was a 90 minutes where you'd expect to, I mean, if he scores that goal in the very last couple of seconds, you're thinking, well, they'll probably win on penalties here, if he's stepping up to take one. But yeah, that seemed to just light a fire for both sides. I think obviously Aldershot got a little bit excited or tried to change something, or because we just seemed to be all kind of in a jumble, as you say. And yeah, I mean, it's a great cross and a great header that just randomly you can do that when you've got 10 men. I mean, you can just put in a great ball. And Lewis Walker, who didn't really get a sniff all afternoon, gets one chance to head it in past Dewhurst. Um, I suppose, yeah, the penalties. I suppose I don't think there's any debate over either of Aldershot's penalties. I think from either side. The first one's very clear trip. Second one's a very clear handball. I mean, I can't believe he's putting his arms up like that, because that ball is going into the East Bank very clearly from Cameron Hargreaves, and he's for some reason thought I have to block this with, with
Mm.
my entire body. Um, yeah. Ash, did you think Tyler Frost was going to bury that first one?
Yeah, it's the only penalty that I have actually looked at and watched as the penalty's been taken. Every single other one I've turned around, so I haven't watched the penalty. And that was the only one I've watched. And I was like, he's going to
Oh.
score because it's Frost. And he saved it. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? And then the second penalty, I turned my back because I was like, that's my lucky charm, and it went in. So I've only seen the Henry goal from the replay, but it was just a weird thing. So my mate said, you didn't turn around for that one, did you? I was like, no. I said, I don't like watching penalties. So that's really bizarre.
That is bizarre. Wow. Yeah, because I mean, I thought about turning around for the Henry one because I just couldn't bear to watch that one. But yeah, no, I've never not watched the penalty. But to be honest, I mean, people, Callum, my mate behind me, was like, I don't feel confident. I think Frost had a bit of a tricky game. There's a couple of miscontrolled balls. I mean, obviously, you can have a great performance and miscontrol a couple of balls out of play, and people will be like, "Oh God, he didn't have a good game today." Obviously, if he sticks that away, he's on course for a 9 out of 10 afternoon. Um, but yeah, Will Jääskeläinen to the rescue, dive into his left to keep it out. Having watched it back, I mean, when I first saw the penalty, I thought it was a really poor penalty and not really stuck with any conviction or power. But I think it is generally it's become a better save since I've seen the replay.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
my feeling with it at the time is obviously I one thing I dislike in the game at the minute is where the players do that 3, 4 steps on the spot, that sort of stuttering thing, and that to me is kind of where it allows there to be not as much power in the penalty as you would like. And yeah, I think it was basically a nice height, nice position for Jaskalainen to get across. And obviously, a lot's been made of his penalty saving abilities, particularly with the Oxford City shootout. But I think most keepers would have backed themselves to save a penalty in that position.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, and it's almost the same for the Henry one. When I saw it leave his boot, it felt like it was, slow motion with 75th minute. I don't think we're going to create enough chances. Are we going to create a big enough chance to level the game before the end of 90? And as it leaves his foot, I was like, oh, and then it does find that corner just out of Will Jaskalainen's reach, but he basically dives in exactly the same way. Henry just puts it a little bit higher, a little bit further in the corner, manages to get it. I think was it the day before? Yeah, on the Friday. Don't ask me why I was doing this. I should have been working, but I had a look at the 2004 playoff final penalties, just to put myself through some misery before the Saturday. And all of the ones that are saved are in that exact same position. I don't know why it just had so many similarities, Frost's penalty with that. It just kind of like side-footed, and it looks so easy to save. So that's what I was thinking about for the entirety of half time. Um, well, what next? The post-match celebrations on Ash. You've mentioned yours, Ian. What did you get up to after after that game?
So yeah, my day job is working for a sports betting company, and Saturday is our biggest day of the year because it was the Grand National. So originally I thought I wouldn't be able to make the game, but the 12:30 kickoff played into my hands with the race being at 4 o'clock. So I went to the game, and then rather than staying in the stands to celebrate or going on the pitch or whatever it was or going to the pub, I went and worked in a particular chain of coffee retailers and was working away on my laptop all afternoon, watching people in various states wander past the window. Uh, and by the time I got to the George, just gone past 7, once I'd finished work, you could see that it had been quite an interesting afternoon. There was a guy stood up asleep, and yeah, the floor was quite sticky as well. So I can imagine it's quite the afternoon. I think both of you were in there at some stage.
Yeah, it must have just missed you. I think I left at about 7:15 to get home. So we've been cross paths. Yeah. Yeah, just want to shout out actually just the club and the organisation because I was a bit dubious that they were going to get 7,000 in there without any hitches or issues or problems. But that was the most seamless experience that I've ever had. To be honest, any game over 5,000 at the Rec, with the wristband and getting in, that was really quick. The bar at the bottom, I mean, I wouldn't say it's terribly like placed brilliantly because the queue for the bar was backing onto the turnstiles, a bit chaotic. But yeah, being able to go up into the East Bank. I mean, I got up to the East Bank bar for the first time, and there was about 8 people in the queue, and then I had half a pint and joined the queue again, and I was nearly in the North Stand. It was it was crazy. I've never seen a queue like it, and probably won't ever again. Um, and then after the game, the bar down the bottom was still open, so we got to sit in the sunshine, have a couple more pints while everyone drifted out into the town centre. So yeah, I can't believe the uh, the organisation. So shout out to everyone involved. Um, and then the last thing I had written down was the pitch. Ash, did you go on the pitch?
Yeah, I did.
How did
Not
you feel the grass? was, because I think that's about good enough for cows, but not football.
Yeah, I thought the same. I thought it was a little bit off.
It's
Yeah,
the lot is so long.
yeah, I know. On a side note, I went to the centre of the pitch and managed to get a few photos with players and like stuck my arm around Theo and said, "Thanks a lot, Theo, for doing that and all that," and spoke to him for a while. I did not run up to the Woking fans.
No, I
I'll
wasn't
add
trying to.
that in
Wasn't trying
there.
to. Yeah, this is not a police investigation. Don't worry. It was mainly just about the grass length. It is so long. I was blown away. I mean, I've played on that pitch, and it was half the length. When I played on it all those years ago, in 2017, I think. Um, so I admit it's different pitch completely. But yeah, what else was? Oh, I've forgotten what I was going to say about the pitch. Other than that, but yeah, it was just nice to be out there. Oh yeah, and the premature celebrations. And what does anyone have any idea what the ref was doing when he was blowing for that?
I think because the ball had gone into the trees behind the high street end, so I think he was whistling for another ball.
Interesting. That
Yeah.
does make sense actually. Yeah.
So yeah, we're down at that end, and yeah, there was a couple came on from the south, and yeah, we genuinely believed where we were that it had finished as well. And there was also, I think, another offside or something a minute or two later that also made me think, oh, hang on. So like the referee was really messing with us there. The other thing to mention, just on the penalties, going back to it, is that the Woking shout near the end. I had a great view of that, and that was a fantastic tackle. And yeah, right call. So yes, the referee got the red card wrong, but all the penalty shouts spot on. Um, and a good day for him. Of course, we're going to say that because we won, but he genuinely did have a good game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, I think Aidan O'Brien should be getting up and getting that ball as quick as possible. I don't know why he's thinking, oh well, I can get over it if I don't know. It looked to me like he'd seen him coming. Obviously, the ball's gone, so and it's still sliding a little bit. The fact he hasn't just like evaded that leg and just gone around it and got the ball, um, I don't know. I mean, it's all in a moment, isn't it? Um, but yeah, the premature celebration was funny in the videos I saw, just because Josh Barrett runs half the length of the pitch towards the East Bank. So we've turned around, all of our mates just like jumping around like, ring a roses. And then we turn back and everyone's like, we'll turn back and there's about 500 people on the pitch. Everyone, there's people over the tannoy saying the game's not over. I was like, what's happened? I thought we were in Wembley. I thought we'd finally done it, and now I've been denied. I thought this is how it happens, isn't it? There's going to be some sort of FA sanction, and we can't go to Wembley. But fortunately, about 3 or 4 minutes later, we could finally do another hug. This time it felt a little bit more contrived the second time, of course. We'd already done the passionate hug, but it's fine. Worth it. Worth it to do that all over again.
That
Um,
premature celebration made me think, no, don't do it, don't do it. That's going to curse us. They're going to lob the ball in the net. I was really thinking, what if they equalise now that we've run on the pitch prematurely? And they all went over to the Woking fans as well. The vast majority of them did. You can imagine if that went the other way after that. I was just like, no, don't. Just come off the pitch.
yeah, it was galling enough hearing Woking sing Que Sera Sera after 60 minutes, or was it 65 minutes or so? That felt a bit. Oh no, 55. Yeah, that felt a bit. I know it felt early, but in my head I was like, they've been here before. That they know when to start singing. I don't know.
It was the same when people were singing it at the 99-minute point, and everyone around me was just, shut up, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even utter the words until until that second final whistle was finally put us out of our misery at the end there. Blimey. Well, I'm sure we'll be discussing more and more as we go through the next 31 days until Spennymoor Town in the FA Trophy final um, on a Sunday. So get booking your Mondays off, I think. get your shorts on for the Trafalgar Square, jumping in fountains, a la Scotland style, I reckon. Um, I suppose we better go back to the the bread and butter for a little bit and talk about Boston at home and look ahead to York City away on Saturday. Um, Boston, as we know, we're coming into this in pretty decent form. Although they'd lost to Wealdstone last Tuesday, they've been picking up wins in most of their games. Don't really draw, and yeah, they got 7 days rest because our game was meant to be on the day of the Aldershot Woking game in the FA Trophy. So they had plenty of rest, and it seemed from listening on the radio that they were just at a higher intensity and had the bit between their teeth to get out of the relegation zone, which they did with a win. Um, Ian, you were there. What were your impressions of the Boston at home game?
Yeah, I think before yesterday we said on WhatsApp that yeah, away win was felt very likely. Put a few quid on Boston last night, and that wasn't sort of me being sort of negative towards playing a team below us. This was genuinely like it just added up to a Boston win in that we were on the high of Saturday. There was going to probably be some changes made, and Boston are just in superb form. First half, it felt like Boston were the home team in that they were taking the game to Aldershot. Changes made by Tommy, I was perfectly okay with. I was pleased to see Bray and Thomas up front together. Want to see more of Ollie Bray because we haven't seen enough of him yet. And I've been really pleased with how Thomas has done since he's come back, that it does give the attack that extra dimension. And of course, it was his contribution that led to the opener for Tyler Frost. So we got to half time at 1-0, and I thought, well, yeah, maybe actually now we can stifle, we can compete with Boston. But again, we sort of allowed them back into it, and then they were able to capitalise. And unfortunately, the winner felt inevitable, but it was, no one's too disappointed because of what happened on Saturday. And the other thing is with the changes, some people say it was 7, 8 changes based on the starting lineup from Saturday, but I saw it more as sort of 3 changes in terms of Corbett, Bray, Anderson starting would be players who don't regularly get a start, whereas everyone else who came in has started plenty of games this year. You wonder how many games Thomas would have started if he'd been here all season. He probably would have been a lot more regular than he was the previous season. So, yeah, a shame to lose, but one we can forgive, I think. And, hopefully Saturday onwards, we'll be back on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to mention Cameron Hargreaves. I think he took the captain's armband last night, but yeah, putting in another 90-minute shift in central midfield. The boy is unbelievable. The Duracell bunny of this league, for sure. Ash, what were your thoughts on Boston at home last night?
Well, really put a summary on it is that I think that when we come to review the whole season, it isn't going to be defined on this game. I think the Boston game came around at the right time for Boston. We just played Woking. We were just on that high. As we've mentioned, it was rotated squad. I came into the game thinking we're probably going to lose here. But obviously the first goal, I was kind of like, right, okay, just hold on to that goal. And the second half, I don't know about yourselves, just seemed to, I don't know, it wasn't like it went so fast. It just went and not a lot of highlights as such, except for the fact they scored 2 goals. It felt like it was very, from our side of things, I think there was a good amount of rotation because obviously York are going to give us that's going to be a tougher game away from home. And I think because it's tour of duty, I think Tommy will want that one as a result. And the way to get that is to rest and rotate partly. I think Anderson, he's going to feature for most of the rest of the league season just because he's cup tied, I believe. So he cannot play in the FA Trophy final. So I think you'll be seeing him coming in a lot more, maybe giving Cameron a bit of a rest on Saturday. So playing him alongside Theo might be the option. But it was one of those games that when it come the end of the season, it's like we're going to talk about probably the Woking, and we're going to talk about like some of the more disappointing results we've had. And I just think this one, they came here, they did a job, they got the 3 points. Best of luck to them. I think they've got more than enough seeing them to stay in this division. So we'll probably end up seeing them next season, I reckon.
I really think we should have had a penalty though, right at the end. I can't understand why that wasn't given. I think it was Thomas sort of bundled over. It just looked a clear push from where I was, and I really thought the ref was going to give that. Probably
Mm.
92nd, 93rd minute, and then just after that, obviously Marcus Jewess came up for the corner, try and cause a bit of havoc. So try until the end, but ultimately Boston were better than us on the night.
Yeah, yeah. I only listened in last night. I have to say I did turn it down a little bit because I was watching Arsenal, Real Madrid, and I was watching the Declan Rice show, which it was scintillating watching. But yeah, I did turn it down when there wasn't a lot other than Josh Hazel causing us problems in the second half. But yeah, the shout for the penalty is the the kind of audio perfect sound of a penalty is about to be given. The kind of effects mic here, you can hear the kind of reaction from the crowd. That was a proper sound of like that's a penalty. When's the whistle coming? And there was no whistle. It was quite very very disappointing to not get that whistle. And it had to be Jay Rowe, didn't it? He's been on fire this turn of the year. Ex Aldershot. I can't remember even a half decent performance from him when he was with us. But such is life of many of these players. Same with Lewis Walker. So we've had a week of two players that I don't think played well in an Aldershot shirt, scoring against us, which is interesting. So the shots head to York away on Saturday for the, I believe, 16th tour of duty match. York City are currently second, 8 points behind first place Barnet. All but certainly not going to be winning the title this year. Although they are almost certain. I think that is confirmed that they'll be into the semi-finals of the National League playoffs. I don't expect them to be taking their foot off the gas for the visit of Aldershot at the weekend. And they'll be hoping that Barnet slip up again like they did last week. Ollie Pearce is almost certain to be the National League's top goal scorer this season. He's currently on 27. I'm going to put a brackets of 8 penalties because I just like to diminish the success of other strikers. Akindi, Vardy, and McCallum hit 31 in their respective seasons, so he could be on course to get that with a couple more penalties thrown in. I did just have a look at the top ones, but obviously, yeah, Longstaff and Ricky Miller with over 40 goals in a National League season is absolutely mental. Players to mention: Harrison Mayle, who we know from Dorking days, the ever-present Callum Howe. You can't miss him. Marvin Armstrong, who's basically the best player in the league by my reckoning. I absolutely love him. And Ashley Nathaniel George off the wing, who was formerly of Maidenhead, who we saw most years anyway. A 0-0 draw back at the Rec in September. So yeah, how do we feel we're going to get on? Ash, you're heading up on the coach. What are your thoughts on York at the weekend?
Yeah, a very good outfit, as we can see. The team's full of goals. I don't think this is going to be 0-0. Um, I'm because they've still got something to play for. They're still charging up this table, trying to hope Barnet slip up. We kind of sit in this pit at the moment. We're not going to go down. We're not likely to hit a playoff run unless we win every single game, which, let's be realistic, it probably won't happen. And we just need other results going our way. It's a tour of duty game, so I would love to see a draw. It's like that's literally me thinking in my shots fan head. as long as the day has a lot of noise, everyone turns up, has a good time, I think it'll be cool. I'm going to stick for 1-1. I think Ollie Pearce to score for them, and probably Barrett will come up with something last minute to give us something to talk about when we get home. But that's me with my Aldershot head on. Yeah, they just like looking down their team sheet. They're just full of goals. I don't know if you mentioned Tyrese Sinclair. He's up there as well, isn't he? He's got 7 goals and he's their third highest scorer. Um, but yeah, I'm going to go with 1-1. I'll never put us to lose. But it's one of these. I think we might get something from it because York are up there. The better the team, the better we play, it seems.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't mention Tyrese Sinclair. I'm not sure if he's injured. I don't think he played in their last match, so I'm not sure if he's still out. He might have just been rested or something. But yeah, also not sure on if Dipo Akinyemi is fit or if Linnell John Lewis is fit. But I mean, there's so many options to bring. Depends what way they want to play. I mean, we've finally got Kwame Thomas after months of us saying, "Oh, we do need a different dimension." They've got different dimensions coming out of their ears. Um, Ian, how are you? How are you feeling ahead of Saturday?
Yeah, mixed feelings. It's probably our toughest test for months, really. Probably since maybe Forest Green away just before Christmas, because a lot of the fixtures we've played, we're playing a team towards the top, and we've done quite well, but they've been teams that are perhaps not in great form. So when we went to Gateshead or when we went to Rochdale, they weren't in very good form at all. Whereas York score a lot of goals, and yeah, they need the points. And yeah, I'm a bit fearful just because of that Rochdale game the other week that we could be in a bit of trouble if we're not careful. But hopefully, being the tour of duty, the sort of resting of the players from last night and the Boston game, that yeah, hopefully we can do a job and just keep in the game, keep it respectable. So narrow defeat be perfectly fine if it happens. But yeah, tough test this weekend.
Yeah, really, really tough test, and although a great city to go to, not a great stadium to visit. Miles out of the city centre. Um, yeah, it was Tommy's kind of early one of his more early good memories, I suppose, was his at the end of last season before last, the 2022-23 season, when we went to York, who were below us. They were also seeking a win. It was a very, very tense day out. But Tyler Frost in a 90th minute um, equalised to all but confirm survival. I think it was by goal difference at the time. But I mean, I think we were way ahead of the teams behind us. And then York confirmed their survival, I think the week after. So what a turnaround for them finally to finally be up there. There was 340 that day for near the end of the season. Um, I'm not sure if we'll get how many more we'll get up there. I mean, there was quite a low, inverted commas low, for Aldershot attendance up at Rochdale. I assumed in the thinking that most people are saving up for York. Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we can get a 400 up there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean this one's been obviously overshadowed, isn't it, with Woking and Wembley. So it's kind of yeah, that might have a impact on the numbers. Um, yeah, because last year's Hartlepool one, good numbers, but it was the main game to look forward to, wasn't it? So yeah, might not beat the 340, but at least everyone that is there will be pretty noisy, I think. I suppose we have quite a few northern shots and exiles, etc., that help with the numbers there. So fingers crossed. One interesting thing from the Woking game, funnily enough, was I saw a mate from school at the Boston game last night, and he couldn't go to the Woking game, but they're just what happened and going to Wembley's renewed people's interest, I think. So if we get some fans and more support off the back of it, it's going to be really great for the club. So maybe people that weren't planning on going but find they can will go this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, after the working game, we were discussing kind of. well, I mean, other than getting messages from loads of other people saying, "Oh, when did tickets come on sale?" I'm like, Jesus, I'm just managing to get home just about, and and what else were we saying? Well, yeah, and also discussing like how Aldershot never seemed to properly turn up when there's more than 5,000 at the Rec. There's always something a little bit off, and for most of the game, I was thinking this is one of those off days. We're just having a bit of an off day. We're not gonna get over the line. I think that's what made it extra sweet, like just the last minute winner as well. Just I, I, I had no thought in my mind was thinking we're going to do this, and then it happens, and then you think, oh, it is real. We can turn up when there's 7,000. So I think every single person that walked in the turnstiles that day will come away, thinking a little bit more.
Well, it's a bit like if you're writing a book, or you could write a book on Aldershot v Woking, and you'd have all these different chapters of Barnard's last minute goal and Molesley saving us, Jimmy Sagru, and all this sort of stuff. But you could also write a book on how Aldershot shoot themselves in the foot. And I think missing a penalty and losing to 10 men would have been very much worthy of a chapter in that particular book. But luckily it was, just added to a better chapter for the Aldershot Woking one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the other discussion we were having is, well, not discussion really. It was just like listing teams that we've watched like Aldershot lose to over the last like 10 years, and just going, that's why we lost that game for this day. Like everything that happened before, your Wellings in the FA Trophy, your East Thurrocks, all of those was all just so that Jack Barham could nod it in at the back post in front of the East Bank. Um, bah, that was us trying to talk about York City away. And it's gone straight back to gone straight back to that Jack Barham moment. Ash, what are your thoughts on the how many away fans or anything else you want to mention?
So I think with the Woking result, I think that's going to add a little bit of positive numbers to it. I know that the coach that I'm on is near enough full. Um, I'm actually going to go for a plus 400 number between 450 and 5. I think we're actually going to get a big number up there because I think a lot of the ones up north who've been to Woking, there's going to be that regalvanized interest. There's tour of duty as well. I have read somewhere that something like 325 tickets have already been sold, and there's quite a few people I know that haven't bought any. But take what you will from that because that isn't officially from York, but someone's mentioned that on Twitter. Um, but I reckon 400 plus. I think we'll get a good turnout, and I think it will just be on the back face of Woking, and a lot of them will want to, especially people who may not have made it to Woking, to go there and voice and finally chant that they're on their way to Wembley. I'd love a
Yeah,
pound for every single chant this weekend for we're off to Wembley. I think I'd be quids in.
every single service station, I hope. Yeah, to be honest, now you've mentioned the tickets, I that was the nightmare of York, the time of Frost's equaliser. They'd mentioned in their match day info or whatever that you can buy tickets on the gate. So me and my mate Dan were like, that's fine, then we'll go and get them on the gate. That's easy. Got to the gate, it's a QR code you got to scan, and you've got to make an account and then buy the tickets through that. That is not buying on the gate. That is the worst thing you could do. And also, that stadium is not in a very good 4G zone. So it was taking a long time. We nearly missed kickoff. So yeah, I would suggest that you buy your tickets early, and don't get stung like we were. I think we came in just as the players were coming out. Um, and also, I hope that the stewards also just let us have the whole of that back stand because they tried to cram us in last time to like 2 blocks, and there was just because it's not a very steep or deep stand. There were just loads of people that obviously people that would normally want to sit down didn't really get the opportunity because it was just so packed in. So hopefully they'll do better this year for the tour of duty. Um, I think that's about it. Unless anyone's got any other mentions for this week. It's good to be back recording a podcast rather than voice notes. And we're back next week to talk about York and look ahead to the Sutton and Woking again Easter games. So yeah, also, those tickets are selling out pretty fast. I think we're nearly at full sellout for Wokin's away end. So can't wait. Bring it on. Anyway, thank you, Ian, and thank you, Ash.
Pleasure.
Thank you.